Hey team, what a fucking week it has been to be a Highguard fan, huh? Ranked comes out last week and is great. A few days later, reports drop that most of the developers at Wildlight Studios have been laid off. Then less than 24 hours later, we get a giant balance patch that fixes some of the things that I was complaining about in my last video. What is going on? Like and subscribe, and let's dive into it. Starting off with the bad news here, This Week in Video Games has a news story titled Highguard Developer Makes Layoffs Affecting Most of the Team 2 weeks after launch. Well, that's enough to make me sad. This Week in Video Games reports that Alex Grainer posted on their LinkedIn profile that, quote, "Unfortunately, along with most of the team at Wildlight, I was laid off today. This one really stings as there was a lot of unreleased content I was really looking forward to that I and others designed for Highguard." Later that day, Wildlight then released a statement saying, quote, "Today we made an incredibly difficult decision to part ways with a number of our team members while keeping a core group of developers to continue innovating on and supporting the game. We are proud of the team, talent, and product we've created together. We're also grateful for players who gave the game a shot and those who continue to be a part of the community." So what does this mean? For me, it means I spent a good bit of last night really sad and wondering if this 2-week-old video game is going to see the next morning. I'm really bummed that in today's game development landscape, several gaming news outlets will gladly report how many thousands of game developers are being laid off and how much of a bummer that is. And to be clear, that sucks. Like, that's really, really bad, and I hate it, and I feel for each one of them. But to then have these same fucking media outlets slamming a new game from a new studio with fresh ideas so hard that most of the developers are laid off in 2 weeks, I don't really have words for it. I understand chasing trends and trying to be on brand to generate clicks and stuff like that, but holy shit, have an original opinion, please. I'm going to move on to better things before I rage quit. One of the prevailing issues the game has had since launch is balancing issues across gameplay and characters. The Episode 2 patch that dropped last weekend introduced plenty of these things, but in this new patch, Shadow dropped yesterday, introduced several gameplay changes that I'm quite interested in. For starters, the gear up phase has been shortened from 120 seconds to 90 seconds. The point of interest waypoints that you see at the start of the phase now only show on the location that the shield breaker will be forming in at, and it's not going to fade away until the forming phase starts. I think that's pretty cool. Masterwork weapons and ultimate chargers will now only appear at the point of interest where the shield breaker is forming, and your respawn time has been reduced to 15 seconds from 20 seconds during the gear up phase and while the shield breaker is forming. So that's going to ruin my kill to death average as I just keep dying during the gear up phase. The devs noted that all these changes are aiming to bring players to loot and fight at the shield breaker site instead of letting them fight wherever they want. I mean, players can still fight wherever they want, but I think the aim is to have more combat happen at the shield breaker site. And I think that's a good idea. Raids received some tweaks as well, as now after you blow up one generator site, either A or B, all attackers will be teleported back to the home site and reset the match to the gear up phase. So after you blow up A or B, that's the end of that raid. You're not going to still have the option to plant at Anchorstone or at the other bomb site. And I think that's going to change things a whole lot. The devs noted here, this change aims to give losing players another chance at success and create tighter games. Games can still be won in one raid by destroying the anchor stone, like I had mentioned just a little bit ago. Quality of life improvements, including adding assist and damage to the end of the podium stats after a game is over, and they've increased the rejoin times for players disconnecting during a match so they'll have an easier time getting back in. Finally, there have been a lot of balance changes to the characters listed here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some highlights for me include reducing Econ's passive dread ability from triggering if a player's health is less than 100% to now triggering at less than 50%. And I'm all for this. I think this is a step in the right direction for sure. Atticus now gets 2 shock spears instead of 3, but the cooldown on that is reduced from 1 minute to 45 seconds. Condor's ultimate got a few tweaks here as well, and Una's summonable abilities will target enemies twice as fast and their projectiles will fly faster. And I'm all about Una getting a buff. I feel like those little forest wisps were cool, but they rarely did anything of consequence. Pause the video here if you want to take a look at all of the changes that are listed, or you can follow the link down in the description to the x.com post to see the balance changes. If you do that though, don't scroll down too far. You'll see nothing but hate posting from idiots all over the internet. It drives me insane. So what does all this mean? So you'll see people all over the internet saying that the game's over, it's Concord Part 2, yada yada. And I think that's ridiculous. Obviously, they got rid of their developers, and maybe that's just to keep their costs down. Remember, they do have a year-long roadmap of content that was already planned, and maybe that's already been created. For some perspective, if you're building a house, then once the house is built, you don't have to keep paying the contractors to hang around. So maybe that's what's going on here. They've paid the developers to make the game, make the maps, do all the code, and now they just need engineers to make tweaks to it. Maybe that's all this is. I'm not going to say that the game is dead. There's still a decent amount of us that are playing the game every day, and if we keep playing, maybe it'll stay alive. I don't know, maybe this is just copium, but I want the game to stay alive. Anyway, if you made it this far, thanks for listening. I really appreciate you being here. If you're interested in staying up to date on Highguard, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'm going to do my best to stay positive and keep bringing you updates. I'm also working on a lore video about the world, so be sure to keep a lookout for that. If you're a fan of the game, keep your head up. If you want to keep logging in and playing, we'll beat the odds and we'll keep the game alive. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.